Hello, everyone. I hope you are continuing to have a great day. It is Tracy coming to you live again from New Hampshire Writers Project headquarters. And this time I'm here with New Hampshire Writers Project author and member, Martha Levallee. How are you, Martha?
Great, Tracy. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Doing well. I'm glad you could join me today. I'm very interested in learning more about your book, An Only Child No More, Discovering My New Family at 54. I think that title says an awful lot about what we're going to learn today, so I'm very excited. But before we get into that, I just want to remind everybody that these live broadcasts are part of a series that we're doing to support our author members in the holiday showcase, which just recently launched and is running through December 24th. And it's basically a collection of over 55 of our members' books highlighted on our website, featured so that it's making easy shopping for you. You can go in, you can search different titles and get a sense of what the book lovers in your life might be interested in. And this is one other author in her book that you're going to learn about today as well. So Martha, if you could start us off with telling us a little bit about yourself and this wonderful book that you've published.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. I never thought of myself as a writer. I never anticipated that I would write a book. That wasn't a goal of mine until the most incredible thing happened to me in 2014. It was just over the moon, and I felt compelled to share my story with the world.
Sounds like the
And
story found you and you needed to write
yes,
it. Yeah.
exactly. The story really did find me, definitely. So as Tracy had said, my book is called An Only Child No More, Discovering My New Family at 54. And in 2014, April of 2014, I was sitting in my office at work. I worked as an academic advisor at one of the state colleges here in New Hampshire. And I was checking my work emails and I saw this email come through that I did not recognize at all. This is my work email. It was a very short email, and this is how I begin. The first chapter is I have this email that's come in. It says, "Dear Mrs. Levallee, my name is Samuel. I am 26 and from Cologne, Germany. It might sound weird, but I'm looking for a man who was named Lawrence Rollins. While researching, I found your name connected to him. I might be totally wrong, but if so, please let me know. In this case, I would explain more to you. This is no spam or anything. For me, this is an incredible important research, and you might be my only chance. I hope you receive this mail and answer me. Yours, Samuel Graf, Cologne, Germany."
Yeah, right there, being from Germany, I'm like, spam, it'd be deleted immediately. But obviously, you took pause. So tell us more.
Yes, I did. And he was looking for a man who was an American soldier during World War II, stationed in Europe. And this name was the exact same name as my father. And I
Mm.
knew my father had served in Europe in World War II, and he didn't talk about it much, but that really wasn't uncommon from some of the veterans that I had known, especially from that era. They didn't talk much about their time during the war. And so I thought initially it must be spam, but the fact that he had my father's name and it was spelled correctly, and it just, I didn't know of my father doing anything particularly noteworthy during his time in the army over in Europe. And so it got me intrigued. And so I cautiously wrote back from my work email and said, yes, that was my father's name. What is your research? He said he was doing important research. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And so he wrote back quite quickly, considering that there's a 6-hour time difference between Germany and the United States, Eastern Zone, the United States. And his next email was, "Thank you so much for answering. At first, I must excuse myself if my English is not that good, but I hope you will understand me. I found your name after a long research. I am looking for someone who could know Lawrence Rollins for years now. The only thing I got is an address. Rollins, Lawrence," gives the address. "Internet getting bigger and bigger, filled with more informations, helped me now to find your name. Anyway, I am not sure if your father is the Lawrence Rollins I am looking for. I want to tell you the reason for my research. Even if it's confusing, I don't want anything bad. To be honest, I am looking for my grandfather. And at that point, I just stopped reading. I was furious. I was absolutely livid, thinking that this stranger could insinuate that my father had cheated on my mother because my parents got married in 1940. And after Pearl Harbor, Daddy went into the service. And so he was in from 43 to 46. And I was just absolutely livid at this stranger who was.
And you're at work at this time.
And I'm at work.
So were you reading the second email at work as well?
The next day, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep.
Your coworkers are like, what's going on in Martha's
I had
office?
my own office, thankfully. So actually, after I got the first email, I printed it off and I showed it to a colleague and I said, would you just delete this as spam or would you actually respond to it? And she says, well, is that your father's name and is spelled right? And he was in the Army in World War II. Go ahead and respond. Maybe you got some family you didn't know about. And I just laughed as I walked out of her office. I said, I don't think so. And so cautiously, I responded. But first, my first reaction was absolute anger at this. And then
interesting.
I came home and I told my husband about it. And, I started to calm down a little bit with some time. And he said, now let's think about this. Thankfully, my husband had a much clearer head than I did at this point. And he said, we have your dad's Army yearbook, and we know that he was in Germany when the war was over. He was stationed in Germany, helping with the reconstruction of that country. And and we know from the yearbook that he was an MC in a variety show being put on for other GIs. And perhaps there was a member of the audience, one of the Army soldiers in the audience, who had a fling with a German woman and he didn't want to give his real name and just grabbed the MC's name off the program and told her that his name was Lawrence Rollins. And so maybe this woman thought she had a relationship with Lawrence Rollins, but my husband and I both said there's no way my father would have done this. So as it goes through the book of a lot of different emotions, I finally insisted on seeing the letters that had been written by my father to this young man in Cologne's grandmother. And it took a while for a copy of the letter to be scanned and sent to me. And during that time, I thought, this is just scam. There's no such letter.
Yeah.
And finally, when I received a letter through email, it was my father's handwriting. I recognized my father's signature, and my father, not so much the handwriting as the signature, because my dad had scribbled his signature many times in his doodling. And so when I forwarded back to this young man a picture of my father, several pictures of my father, he was astonished at the resemblance between his father and my father. My half brother and my dad look so much alike.
Well, so now I'm curious, Martha, because you said your initial reaction was anger. So
Yes.
Now as you've received these verified letters and you looked at some pictures and you kind of went through the process a few more days, what were you starting to feel after that?
When I realized that this young man was not a scam artist, he was telling the truth, and that I actually did have a half brother. My dad had a son. I was ecstatic. I was just absolutely thrilled. I grew up in a very rural area, never had any brothers or sisters. We didn't have a lot of neighbors nearby to play with growing up. I married an only child, so my husband doesn't have siblings. We have no nieces or nephews from him.
Oh, wow.
And my husband and I have never had children. So it was just such a wonderful gift to be able to find all of this family. My brother has 2 sons and 2 daughters. And
Wow.
at that time in 2014, he had 1 granddaughter. Well, today he has a second granddaughter and a grandson, and now there's another baby on the way. So,
Oh, that's so wonderful. Oh, and you'd mentioned you've been over to visit there a couple times and they've been over to visit here.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
It's
And
been
what's
just nice.
interesting, I found in researching your book, is you're staying connected, even though it's a little bit challenging with the language and with being separated,
Yes.
by so many continents. So, what kind of methods are you using, like traditional social media or other methods to stay connected?
We use WhatsApp.
Okay.
And so WhatsApp is how they often communicate within their family, and they just added me in. And so that's how we've been doing most of our communications in the
Okay.
last 10 years.
Oh my
It's so
goodness. I
nice
love
to
it.
be it's so nice to be able to even though there's a time difference, we can instantly video chat or just text each other through WhatsApp. So it's been really helpful.
Oh yeah. Technology makes it wonderful for sure.
Yes, yes.
Well, and I know this is your memoir, and you had mentioned that you did not need a DNA test. You were convinced
Right.
that they were it. They were the long lost family that you never knew you had. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I'm getting goose pimples, as you say this, because I can't even imagine. Yeah, in my 50s, because I'm in my 50s now too, and to find out I have a long lost, sibling somewhere. Well,
Right.
Christmases must be extra special for you. I've got to imagine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The first time I found all this out in the spring of 2014. And when I learned that I really did have a half brother in Germany, but he doesn't speak much English. And so I was dying to grab my passport and jump on a plane and go meet him, but I wasn't about to sit there and just stare at him and not be able to communicate with him. So I spent the next 18 months trying to learn some German so that I could at least try to communicate a little bit with him.
Yeah.
And during that time, my husband said, "Well, I'm not traipsing halfway across the world to see people that we've never
Yeah.
met, don't know anything about." He said, "Ideally, some of them would come here first." So my nephew, who reached out to me first with the first email, he and his girlfriend always wanted to spend New Year's Eve in Times Square in New York City. And at that time, she had a very good girlfriend who was working as an au pair in Boston. So they came in the end of December 2014 and early January of 2015 and visited with us. After they visited with her and spent the New Year's Eve in New York City, they came up to visit us, and we got to spend a weekend, meeting each other and getting to know each other. I showed them where I grew up and where my dad's buried and so forth.
Oh
And
wow.
they were just wonderful people. And so when they headed back, my husband said, "All right, I guess I'm on board with going to Germany
Good for
when
him.
you're ready." So Christmas 2015, we went and spent Christmas and New Year's with my new family in Germany. So it's been
Oh,
10 years this month that we first met the whole group.
that's absolutely amazing. I love this story. And if you want to learn more about Martha, as well as our other authors who are featured in our holiday showcase, head over to nhwritersproject.org, where you'll see Martha's book, An Only Child No More, Discovering My New Family at 54, as well as many other books that you can consider for the book lovers in your life. And Martha, who would be a good target audience for your book? Who do you think, if I'm thinking, I've got these people on my list that are hard to buy for, who would really value and love your book?
Since my journey was discovering love and forgiveness and hope, anyone who loves uplifting family related stories, anyone who's interested in military family related stories, I think, and just taking advantage of opportunities. If I
Yeah.
had just thrown away that email and had never responded, I would have never had all this wonderful new family come into my life. So taking advantage of opportunities is a big theme in the story.
Very good point and well said. And if you want to learn more about Martha, you can find her on Facebook. And if you're interested in purchasing her book, as I mentioned, you can find her in the Holiday Showcase, as well as many other wonderful New Hampshire Writer Projects authors. Martha, before we part ways, is there anything else that people should know about you or your book?
I can't think of anything other than it's also available on Amazon.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me today. And what a great way to start off the holidays with just such an inspiring story. You give hope to other people who might be thinking out there, is there a long lost sibling? So thanks for sharing that with the world in your book. And thanks for sharing that with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for this opportunity, Tracy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful holiday and stay tuned for more live broadcasts coming from our members. Have a great day, everyone.